TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Palestinian Islamists launched a rocket from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip toward Israel's southern communities, prompting Israeli retaliatory strikes. Jerusalem continues to struggle with the persisting spread of the corona contagion as the number of confirmed cases continues to rise, with more than 1,000 new affected individuals since Friday. Iranian-backed proxies conduct several rocket attacks against Saudi Arabia and US-backed installations in Iraq, while Tehran authorities call on the international community to alleviate Washington's sanctions against the Islamic Republic. Palestinian Islamists launched a rocket from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip toward Israel's southern communities over the weekend. Rocket alert sirens were sounded in the town of Sderot and surrounding communities, forcing residents to rush into bomb shelters for the first time in almost 3 weeks. Thankfully, the incoming projectile exploded in an uninhabited area, causing no injuries or damage. In a retaliatory response, an Israeli aircraft and a tank targeted infrastructure, which the IDF spokesperson's unit said was used for underground activity, as well as military posts belonging to the Hamas terror organization in the northern Gaza Strip. It is important to note that no Palestinian group had claimed responsibility for the indiscriminate rocket fire, yet in line with previous declared statements, Israel views the Islamist Hamas organization as solely responsible for all terror-related activities that emanate from the jihadist-plagued territory. Meanwhile, representatives of the Middle East Quartet, which consists out of the European Union, the United States, Russia, and the United Nations, held a teleconference over common concerns vis-a-vis a probable coronavirus outbreak in the Gaza Strip. While the representatives received a comprehensive briefing on the UN's global $2 billion response plan, which it launched this week, the discussion focused on the Hamas-controlled enclave where the risks of disastrous proportions remain substantial. It is important to explain that while there have been only 9 confirmed cases in Gaza, a lack of test kits to shed light on the scale of the outbreak raised concerns over the true severity of the situation. And while the jihadist terror groups openly deliberate the annihilation of the Jewish state, the Israeli military's coordinator for government activities in the territories revealed that in the course of the past month, it has been working in cooperation with the international community to advance the efforts against the spread of the coronavirus in the Gaza Strip. As part of these efforts, among other vital humanitarian measures, Israel donated some of its own coronavirus detection kits to the jihadist-plagued territory, in addition to the transfer of hundreds of medical protection kits, medicine, and disinfectants. In a commanding response, the United Nations lauded the Israeli humanitarian efforts, referring to it as a major factor in the apparent containment of the coronavirus in Gaza achieved thus far. And while Israeli authorities are going out of their way to assist the Palestinian population centers in both the Gaza Strip and West Bank, the Islamist organizations in the coastal Palestinian enclave have announced their decision to cancel a pre-scheduled mass rally along Gaza's border with the Jewish state. The referred to rally, which was supposed to be held today, intended to mark the second anniversary of the so-called Great March of Return, which prompted weekly riots along the security barrier with Israel by Palestinians that are seeking to reconquer territories which they claim to have lost during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Nevertheless, in light of efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus, senior leaders of various Palestinian groups, including the Iranian-backed Palestinian Islamic Jihad, urged their supporters not to attend the rally. Turning now to the Jewish state, where Jerusalem continues to struggle with a persisting spread of the corona contagion as the number of confirmed cases continues to rise steadily. The Israeli Health Ministry reported a steep rise of more than 1,000 new cases since Friday, bringing the number of afflicted individuals to 4,347 people, out of whom 80 are in critical condition as of 8 o'clock this morning. In light of the deteriorating situation, it has been reported that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently considering a general hermetic nationwide lockdown for a duration of up to 3 weeks. A source familiar with the details of the deliberated measure explained to TV7 that the general lockdown will be under a weekly review and that the Israeli military will be mobilized to assist police with enforcement as well as accommodate vital logistical demand. It is important to point out that the Jerusalem government is making every effort to regain control of the rapidly spreading contagion.
הצעדים שאנו נוקטים מכוונים להשיג מטרה מיידית ברורה, לעצור את ההדבקות בתוכנו, לצמצם ככל הניתן את המצבים שבהם הן מתאפשרות. אם נעצור את ההתפשטות, נאתר במהירות ונטפל במי שכבר נדבק, נחזור לשלוט במצב.
The Israeli National Security Advisor further stressed the importance of the general public's adherence to the measures enacted by the government's coronavirus task force.
הקצב המהיר של ההתרחשויות, אי הוודאות לגבי התמשכות המגפה והשלכותיה, מכבידים מאוד ומייצרים ציפייה מובנת לבהירות וליציבות. לצערי, קשה לספק תשובה חדה ומבוססת לשאלה הזו, ועלינו להניח שזה לא הולך להיות קצר. אבל, וזהו אבל מאוד משמעותי, זה תלוי בנו. לא רק, אבל גם. זה תלוי בצעדים שנעשה ובמחויבות שנגלה כל אחת ואחד מאיתנו למאמץ המשותף להאט את התפשטות המגפה.
Because of the limited number of tests that had been conducted thus far, which subsequently provides Israel's health authorities with only a partial picture of the situation, the Israeli security advisor revealed that the results of the measures undertaken will only be known after 2 weeks' time.
צריך לומר, במערכה הזו שאנו בעיצומה, לא רק שקשה לחזות את העתיד, תמונת ההווה אינה ידועה. את הציון על ההתנהגות שלנו היום נקבל רק בעוד שבועיים. אם צדקנו, מה טוב. אך אם טעינו, נדע זאת באיחור.
As part of the efforts to shed light on the true spread of the coronavirus throughout the Jewish state, the Israeli Health Ministry revealed that at the moment, some 6,000 tests are conducted daily, with extensive efforts ongoing to reach the goal that was set by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, which will include some 30,000 tests per day. Turning now to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where authorities confirmed that its military's air defenses managed to intercept 2 ballistic missiles that were fired from the kingdom's southern neighbor, Yemen. Iranian-backed Houthi terrorists claimed responsibility for the attack, which sought to target strategic economic and military sites in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, as well as in the cities of Jazan, Najran, and Asir. According to the Saudi Civil Defense Ministry spokesman, Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Al-Hamadi, 2 civilians were slightly injured due to the falling of the intercepted missiles debris as the ballistic missiles exploded in mid-air over residential districts of Riyadh. The spokesman went on to condemn the Houthis and their Iranian patrons for the unprovoked aggression, merely 2 days after they publicly welcomed a UN-brokered ceasefire. It is important to know that the indiscriminate fire by the Iranian proxy in Yemen came just 2 days after Iranian-backed militants in Iraq launched 2 rockets into Baghdad's heavily fortified Green Zone, where Iraq's government, along with most foreign embassies, are located. According to an Iraqi military statement, the rocket struck near the American-backed Baghdad Operations Command, which is situated a few hundred meters from the U.S. Embassy compound. It is important to mention that this rocket attack, which intelligence officials attributed responsibility to Iranian-backed militants, is the 5th such attack against US-backed installations this month alone. And while Iran's so-called terror tentacles continue to plague the Middle East, the clerical regime in Tehran is in the midst of an international propaganda campaign against the United States. The aim of the campaign is to pressure the Trump administration to alleviate its crippling sanctions regime against the Islamic Republic over claims that those sanctions impede Tehran's capacity to control the spread of the coronavirus, which thus far claimed the lives of more than 2,000 Iranian nationals. And while the United States had repeatedly offered Iran humanitarian assistance to help alleviate the dire consequences of the coronavirus, the Iranian leadership continues to refuse any American offers of aid.
تحریم ظالمانه غیر قانونی و تروریستی که از طرف آمریکا به مردم ایران تحمیل شده و متاسفانه کشورهای دیگر هم از ترس مجازات آمریکا تسلیم شدن و در برابر آمریکا سر فرود آوردن خب مشکلات بسیار زیادی برای ما درست شده. این که آمریکایی‌ها میگن ما در شرایط سختی کرونا حاضریم به ایران کمک کنیم، از اون دروغ‌های بزرگ تاریخه.
Despite the continued terror-related activities by Iran's Revolutionary Guards, which claimed the lives of 2 American and 1 British service members earlier this month, the European Union announced last week that it will grant the Islamic Republic 20 million euros of humanitarian aid.
We specifically have been talking about the situation in Iran, the second most heated country in the world, where the situation is becoming dramatic. We need to continue providing humanitarian aid to Iran. Continue is a way of saying, because by the time being we have been not very much able to provide a lot of humanitarian help. But there are on the pipeline some 20 million euros on humanitarian help that we expect to be delivered on the next weeks.
While some European Union member states are struggling with the spread of the contagion, the EU foreign policy chief, who evidently adopted the Iranian narrative, stressed that Brussels is going to financially support 70 nations that had requested assistance, including Iran and Venezuela. Thank you for watching us. I would like to encourage you to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem in praying for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the peace and salvation of Israel, as well as for all those who are impacted by this coronavirus worldwide. I'm Jonathan Hassan. Have an Erev Tov and Shavua Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.